Every good conversation almost always begins with a topic of common ground. These talks that help you connect with others almost always happen when experiences are shared, and those very same experiences usually become the perfect call to action to start doing what one is supposed to do in this life. My name is Sofia Orcle, and this is Chatting with a Pichicho. I hope that you're doing great today and that the plans you have are aligned with your sense of life. Many times we accept incorporating routines or activities that really do not match what we want or who we truly are, out of the commitment to fit in, to have the means and resources for life, for example. Fitting in becomes a primary concept when we want to achieve a specific goal. That job, exposure on social media, that interview on the radio or a podcast, that promotion, that contract or deal, whatever it may be. Desiring is inherent to the human being because, unlike the Pichichos, that is, animals, we seek to understand and see beyond what exists. Curiosity doesn't kill the cat, stillness does. Curiosity for spirituality and the learning of new topics will never be harmful, but it can cause a very big impact on our psyche that many times brings extreme sadness. If you are still listening to me, it means that our common topic of interest is outdoor activities, pichichos, spirituality, and art. Let's begin. What are the pichichos? It's a word that evolved from its origin Pichichos, from the Argentine series The Adventures of Hijitus, created by Manuel García Ferré in 1967, which refers to a dog as a pet. But in this artistic world of the unconscious and nature, the word Pichicho is any animal that reflects your personal story and helps you connect with the deepest parts of life, the cosmic blueprints. Have you ever wondered why you repeat a life experience? That is, why you live in this again. Same situation, different people, same feelings, different scenarios. But the essence remains always the same. It is usually said that we learn from our mistakes. And that's true. But what we learn are simple answers to earthly events. We only learn a small part of what we must do on certain occasions. The reality is that deep down we are always discovering new things, and even though we have set a goal and steps to follow, we are almost always in search of explanations for various aspects of life. Let's look at the case of animals. They perfectly know what they have to do. Do they? Or do they simply follow a hunch or an instinct? And the question is, what is instinct? Instinct cannot be explained. It is embodied. It is the condor's wing adjusting before the storm arrives. It is the puffin turning its head without knowing why. It is the first image that appears when you close your eyes. Instinct is an animal that lives inside. It doesn't speak with words, but it shows you the way. Every time I go out, I follow that mute voice. And when I take photos, I take them from the body, from the hunch. Sometimes I am the one who's hunting with a camera, and sometimes the Pichicho finds me. In less poetic words, instinct is the manifestation of the results of biological programs outside of the conscious, whose purpose is adaptive to the environment. Think about the dynamics of an office and compare it to the life in nature. Not the same, right? Well, deep down, it is. The characteristics of the environment change, but the essence is the same. The characters will look different, but they fulfill similar archetypes. That colleague who always looks impeccable, her fingernails match her toenails, and she smiles at you, wishing you the best. But the moment you lower your guard, she won't think twice about stepping on you. Just like an animal that blends perfectly into its surroundings. You know, like a snake. The loner in the corner who is never included in any conversation. but whose ideas are often stolen to secure promotion or gain recognition from the boss, like a pongo, an African antelope that walks alone, always near water. There are also those who always follow the herd so as not to feel alone. They simply form part of the group but don't disguise themselves more than what you can see on the surface. What animal are you thinking of now? No, do not think of a dog. Dogs roll with their pack, or they will stay by your side no matter what. Just as we mention animals, we can think of various archetypes: the shadow, the persona, the trickster, and others. In general terms, archetypes shows us behavioral patterns that repeat themselves in different characters, whether in nature or in the office. They help us understand that life's matters are not measured under the labels good or bad, but rather to understand the interface of life itself as distributed among living beings. Can you really blame someone who messes up just because they don't know any better? Or the one who just goes alone with the crowd so they don't feel alone? I mean, we have all done that. Or maybe we are even doing it right now. Or the one who hides behind a friendly face just to get what they want. At first, yes, you can put the blame on them. If you understand the world as good or bad, right or wrong, I don't blame you. It's much easier, but less liberating. The best thing is not to blame, but to understand so you can move forward and continue exploring. Once you understand, it becomes easier to find your path without slowing your pace by pointing at what others do. To point a finger, you have to stop walking to aim well. It's better to stop to feel and think. But if you stop to point, you break your flow. But it also lets you notice how the birds behave. The soul is like a bird. It wants to take off when we are too tangled in the things of this world. This is not something I say, but our dear friend Carl Jung. He says it, but I can confirm it. In one of my first visual works, No One Stops Me, that's the title, A mí no me para nadie, there is a strong expression of my need for individuation in another country. 8,940 kilometers away from a completely different life, to be precise. From a past loaded with strong emotionality tied to family and art, broken bonds, personal essence, and even death. The seagull flying in the cloudy sky, this photo was taken on an overcast day, was actually noticed by my therapist to be missing some feathers in its wings. It doesn't have all its feathers, and yet the seagull flies. It's a snapshot of my psyche at that time, completely worn down by what had happened in Buenos Aires, Argentina, yet still finding a way to fly in this unfamiliar place, the island of Newfoundland, Canada. It could be said that it is a leap of faith, a small step for me and a giant leap for the spiritual Pichicho we carry inside. Jung spoke of the need to integrate the inner witness, that part that can watch without judging. It's the practice of seeing without interfering, something that helps turn off the controlling ego. By following a bird with your eyes, you enter a state of active presence, but without tension, similar to meditation or the creative flow. This state is ideal for contents of the unconscious to emerge spontaneously, like images, intuitions, memories. Sometimes the best answer is a resounding, I don't know, so you can begin to know. I believe that every time we learn about several topics of interest, in some way, we are getting closer to our true self. This is one of the topics I would love to go deeper into in future episodes, since the root of this chapter is the topic of common ground. I don't even know your name, and still I know you like animals and you're drawn to the mysteries of human psychology. That is why certain images may attract you more than others, just like some series or films. Is there a why? There is always a why. Not knowing it does not mean it doesn't exist. Like the story of the coelacanth, for example. For millions of years, it was only known from fossils. It was thought to have disappeared since the Cretaceous period. But on December 22, in 1938, South African curator Marjorie Courtney-Latimer saw, by chance, or perhaps synchronicity, a fresh specimen in a troll off the coast of South Africa. No one had ever seen a living one before. This discovery changed the history of modern biology and paleontology. After that, in 1952, scientists certified a second specimen in the Comoros. Today, at least 2 living species of coelacanth exist. From a Jungian perspective, the coelacanth is a perfect symbol of the living fossil archetype, an ancestral deep presence that emerges from the collective unconscious to remind us that they are part of ourselves, ancient parts forgotten, that are still alive. Just like the coelacanth rediscovered in 1938, juxtaposing our gaze with geological time, some inner perceptions or images may seem dead until another sensitive gaze awakens them. Watching animals isn't just about the wildlife. Sometimes it's about finding parts of yourself you thought were gone and reconnecting with who you are. Like one of my pieces, Virus Rage, She, the first energy reborn in the person gaze of a female dog I spotted at Long Pond. In the middle of all the calm and tranquility of that place, she brought back the voices and shouts of Buenos Aires that still echoed in my unconscious mind, or in my other work, Roots, where the gaze of a nameless cow is a reminder of who I am and where I come from. That is why I ask you, what do you feel when you see a dog, or a cat, a bird, a cow? Maybe you don't feel the same because they're different Pichichos, or maybe you do. All of them provoke tenderness, interest, curiosity, amazement, or you want to take care of them, feed them, protect them, study them, maybe interact with them. If you have ever stopped to talk to animals, don't worry, you're not alone and you're not crazy. In fact, there is a study by Nicholas Epley, professor of behavioral science at the University of Chicago, which affirms that people who talk to animals have a greater capacity for empathy, social interaction, and development of their intelligence. I am not saying that talking to your dog will make you pass a math exam instantly. No, well, although honestly, I haven't tried. Maybe I should. Who knows? Another great thing we can actually try is doing photography from the senses as art therapy. Wildlife photography, bird photography, or even pets are 3 main important pillars to go deeper into our psyche, the unconscious, visit our memories, and understand our story. Wildlife, well, the word says it all, wild, free from rules and norms. It lives by one truth: what is happening in the moment. A crow is not bad for keeping food to itself. A bear is not bad for eating the salmon that jumps in the river. Salmon, for example, is rich in omega-3 and a great source of healthy fats. They help reduce inflammation, protect blood vessels, and keep a bird's skin and fur in top shape. Salmon also support heart health, boost brain function, and help regulate the immune system. When you see nature up close and step away from the city, you begin to understand that all beings depend on every other, like in a community, but involving other species to form a biosynosis. In that ecosystem, which is not foreign to you, you are there with your camera, cell phone or GoPro, whatever device you have to capture what goes unnoticed at first glance. In nature, you have to adapt to the timing of the Pichichos. Waiting becomes your best ally, and your silence becomes your truth. You begin to see the harmonious beauty of interactions among Pichichos, and when you are silent, you heal them. And the best part is, they listen to you too. without you having to say a single word. They hear you, and many times they understand you better than you think. Now then, topics of interest among people arise from shared experiences, right? Well, but with Pichichos, they happen in silence, and from there, those natural conversations are born. So, I could tell you, never, ever waste the opportunity to photograph birds. Even if you live in a very urban area that doesn't let you go to nature often. I follow birds with my gaze, and it's not that I disconnect. It's that I actually connect with my artistic essence. You don't need the best camera. A cell phone is a good tool too. The lack of professional tools should not be the reason not to practice art. Because art, beyond being liberating, is the expression of the message that the unconscious keeps silent. The other pillar is pets, the behavior of Pichichos in a shared ecosystem with you. That is, inside your home, completely changes the picture, since they adapt you, and that's where you can also see yourself. The dog, the cat, the finch, the hamster, the guinea pig, they interact with you 24/7, and you are part of their ecosystem to survive. You no longer feel as much of an outsider as in the middle of the forest or on the mountain. The animal is there with you and imitates behaviors to coexist. Have you ever heard the famous phrase, "Owners look like their dogs"? Well, it's not only about physical appearance, but also about the behavior. Dogs, especially, are the reflection of what your unconscious holds. And in fact, if you want to know a person and their deepest truths, if they have a dog, I would definitely tell you go first get to know their dog. And you will see patterns of behavior very similar to those you can find in the owner. The photography you can do with house animals will be different, very different compared to that of the lone wolf, for example, or a lynx. Because the essence, the context, the ecosystem, the attention, the situation, the silence, everything is quite different. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other one. No. It simply means that the interaction and the conversation you can have with those Pichichos will begin in different ways. But the goal is the same. The connection and understanding of them and of your own essence, which, well, being so exposed to external stimuli today, loaded with messages and narratives that are not our own, we often forget who we are and even forget our own narrative. For now, that will be all for today. This chapter is coming to an end since there are several Pichichos surely out there waiting to be photographed. Don't forget that to make art, there are no rigid rules, only what breathes inside you, ready to come out into the world. If you like this, you can share this podcast with friends and follow me on social media. My Instagram is photographer of Pichichos, or you can find me as Sofia Urcle as well. You will always be welcome on my website to share artistic perspectives, or you can leave me a dedicated message on my Patreon where I will be uploading and updating as well artistic guides about my editing and photography process. I'm so happy you are here with me on this artistic journey. I really hope to meet you again to continue chatting with the Pichicho. Say cheese!